Benjamin Franklin is often credited with the quote, "In this world, nothing can be said to be certain except death and taxes. If you choose to file yourself, that can be taxing." The professionals at Jackson Hewitt can make sure you file correctly. Here to share some huge new deductions you may qualify for and how you can get the biggest refund you're owed is Mark Steber, Chief Tax Officer at Jackson Hewitt Tax Services. Good morning.
Very exciting time to get that money.
It is, but as I said, doing taxes can be taxing sometimes. If it's very, very simple, okay, it's very simple. But when people do it themselves, oftentimes if they look back, they'll realize that they left money on the table.
Well, and that happens more often than you think, especially when you have so many changes every year. And this year being a banner year of tax law changes, and then they overlook life changes because those aren't on programs like this.
Divorce, deaths, deductions,
right? All those don't get as much press. So yeah, you'll see lots of dollars left on the table, and it's immeasurable how much missing dollars that should have been in your pocket are still at the IRS.
Yeah, one of the other things that is so tough for people is the procrastination, especially if you have to pay.
Which I do not understand. When 3 out of 4 people get a refund, and that's in a $300 to $400 billion range, why would you wait till the last minute? If somebody owes you money, I'm not waiting to get my money.
Yeah, but if you have to pay money.
Well, you still get to file early, and you know exactly what you're going to owe, but you don't have to pay till April 15th. So,
and that's a misconception a lot of people have. Yeah, they think that the minute they file, they have to pay. Just make sure you pay before midnight on April 15th.
On the 15th, that's right.
Yeah, because the whole thing is it just relieves the stress, and also you are prepared for if you have a problem like finding a document or you just remember
new tip deduction, new overtime deduction.
Yeah. All right. So how to prepare? Let's start first with schedule an in-person appointment. You get to sit face to face with somebody.
You should have all your documents. Last month I was given the get you ready, get your envelope, get your shoebox, but that ship has sailed now. You should have all your documents. Now they may be in this drawer, in that cabinet, and out here, but you should have all your documents. And the next thing you knew, pay a little bit of attention to who's going to help you with your largest single financial transaction. Find somebody credible, find somebody branded, find somebody with a guarantee that'll tell you the price and all that. You don't want to just go willy-nilly on the biggest return that you got to file each year.
And you say somebody credible. Every year you all are in education about what has changed, right? Because it changes a lot. Lots of new benefits this time in the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. Taxpayers should be aware to get the biggest refund owed to them. It can be complicated, again, understanding all of that. Let's start with some new deductions for ages 65 and older.
Yeah, you covered 2 or 3 or 4 of the big ones. There's a new deduction for seniors, and that's a confusing one because there's already a couple of deductions for seniors, a bigger, standard deduction and so forth. But this is a brand new one that was put into bill to kind of help offset the Social Security tax. But a lot of people think, well, I'm not getting Social Security yet, so it doesn't matter. If you're 65 or older on December 31st, 2025, you get this new $6,000 per person deduction. You don't have to itemize. There is a new form and there's a new line and you can miss it, but if you leave it off, the IRS is just not going to send you more money. So it's important that you put it on there or get your person to know, I'm 65, and a good pro will ask you that.
Yeah, all right.
That's a big one.
Yeah, automotive loan interest.
If you bought a car in 2025, up to $10,000 in interest on that loan, tax deductible. And again, you don't have to itemize, but you do have to put it on there. Now, there's some other requirements. It has to be final assembled in the United States, but that's millions of cars. So if you bought a car, be sure you bring that up because a good pro will ask you, doing it yourself, foot fault on the finger, and you miss it and you leave it, it's gone forever.
Yeah, I knew I should have bought a new car. All right, tip money. This is a huge one, especially in an area like Houston, because we have so many restaurants and so many people in the industry. So
this is probably the biggest one, in my opinion. The $25,000 deduction, up to that, if you've got that in tip money, can be deducted off your tax return this year. Again, don't have to itemize, but you do have to put it on the right form and on the right line to take that benefit. And a lot of companies aren't keeping track of that so well, so it's in your best interest to file early. Make sure you have your documents, make sure you know what your tips and your overtime, and we'll get that into a moment, are, because it's not someplace on your W-2 for this year.
Yeah, all right, overtime pay.
Overtime, similar, another great deduction, $12,500 in qualified overtime. Don't have to itemize, but you do have to put it on your return. It'll reduce your taxes, get you a bigger refund, and there's a whole lot more. We didn't call the newer standard deduction, the newer child credit, refundable child credit, life changes we called. Yeah, all those can slip up and leave money off the table that is your money.
Yeah, another advantage of filing early and getting it out of the way is you diminish your probability of being a victim of theft.
Oh, absolutely. There's 4 reasons to file early. One, we talked about get your money early. How hard is that? But when you file your tax return with the IRS, you lock up your data, your significant other if you have them. You lock up that Social Security number. Somebody stole your data, bought your data, found the copy on last year's printer. You can't file 2 tax returns. So if you file first, and you should, you get your money early, you lock up your data. As we also talked, if you owe, I see a lot of people say, I'm not going to pay the man early. Well, you still can lock up your data and not pay till April 15th, and that's pretty easy. But another benefit, because we're trying to entice people, at Jackson Hewitt, we're now giving a double your refund sweepstakes.
Okay, we like this.
And we've given up to $750,000 in the last 3 years on this program. Now, there are some qualifications. It's only up to $10,000, but with this year's bigger refunds, which we saw in last week's IRS data, there's a better chance than ever to win. And if you're not getting a refund, there's still a prize for you. We do 2 grand prize winners and another smattering of second prize winners. We've given out about 1,200 prizes over the last 3 years. It's a real
and
thing.
How somebody qualify?
You just file your taxes with Jackson Hewitt, and you're automatically entered for every week all the way to the end of the season. Another reason to file early, you got more chances to win.
Yeah. All right. You're going to be out in the community at a number of events. Saturday, February 21st at the Walmart at 13484 Northwest Freeway. Sunday, February 22nd at the Walmart at 26270 Northwest Freeway. And people can access
Well, we
all
have our
kinds of
Jackson Hewitt
information.
Brew It truck. You can come in and get some free coffee, free muffins, whatever you want.
Jackson Hewitt Brew It.
And ask your question. This is not to get your taxes done. This is really the how much does it cost? How long does it take? We found it's a really easy way for you to find out maybe this year is your year to use a pro. We set up our coffee truck. You come in and get a free good glass of coffee. I made that sure. And you ask your question, whatever your question. You can ask tax questions on the tips and overtime. You can even get your taxes done. But what we're really doing is a lot of people are uncomfortable asking those personal questions on how long will it take? What do I have to bring? Do I have to bring my spouse? You know, and so you can just ask your question of the people who actually will be doing the taxes, but they're people from your community, your church, your synagogue, your mosque. They'll answer your question.
You get to see a human being.
And they'll answer any question, any question.
I know a lot of people
on
will do
taxes.
things online, and you're like going, but I can't talk to them online.
How much does this really cost? Is this $500? No, we start at $49. Come on in, and we'll get us started right today, or you can make an appointment for later. But the Jackson Hewitt Brew It truck, very popular, again, our 3rd year, and it's worked very well.
Also very popular, chance to double your refund.
Double your refund if you file early, and double your refund even if you're not getting a refund, you can still get a prize.
All right, thank you very much. I just want to wrap up quickly with you saying, you know, Mardi Gras actually started in Mobile, Alabama, where you're from.
Yes, I am, and it's a big deal there, big deal in Houston, big deal everywhere, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, all right. New Orleans just did the bigger parade. Okay. To schedule an in-person appointment with a tax expert at Jackson Hewitt, give them a call at this number right there on your screen, 800-234-1040. 800-234-1040, or sign up online at jacksonhewitt.com. And don't forget, when you file your taxes with Jackson Hewitt, you'll be automatically entered for a chance to double your refund up to $10,000.